So, I don't think this is working at all. Is it working? Should I use it? Okay. A few days ago, I gave a lecture here, and we recorded it with this, and it still has a very bad static noise in the background that I cannot get rid of. So that's why I have not uploaded that video to YouTube yet, because of that. And this will have the same, I think. But hey, that's the best we can do at Canterbury. I hope no one hears this. Yeah, that's actually better. Okay, right. Welcome to this crash course. You all know me, I think. Maybe that's why you're here. Okay. Thanks to Kylie for sorting this app, and I think someone else helped. Yeah, Tom. All of you. I mean, yeah. So it's a crash course, but you want to do some kind of hands-on experience also. So if you have your laptops, in a minute I will tell you what's needed. What you want to do is I will tell you what Quarto is. How do you do documentation? Why there's a need to look at documentation with Quarto? I'm basically kind of will be sharing my experience, and I'm very, very biased because I like it. But I'm hoping that, you know, at the end of this, they're not paying me anything, just so you're on the same page. I just, when I started looking for a tool that will help me be a bit more efficient, I tried a few tools, and this was a tool that was, what do you call it, one-stop shop for everything. And I will show you in a second, not in a second, in these 2 hours, what I mean by that. I tried to get that other screen working, it doesn't work. So please suffice with this with me. So that is one. The other thing is that related to what I just mentioned, last year I had a presentation on research tools that those of you have taken 344 last year came across it during lectures. But if there is interest in that, I already have those slides, and we can have that talk also. That is 50 minutes talk. So in that, I will be introducing a lot of other tools that I have been using, and that makes what I do efficient. And perhaps I will record that one too, so I'll not have to repeat it in the future. If there's interest in that, we can do that too. So anyways, documentation, we'll talk about why it's important to think about documentation with Quarto and how it makes it efficient. One thing that helps with efficiency is version control. What we mean by version control is that you know, having different iterations or versions of the same document, that you make some changes and then you call it, you know, one, and then others in V2, V3, V4, V5. Why not we find a tool or a software that tracks that? So I'm just making change the same document. If I delete something, it is not visible on the document, but it exists in the background. So if I ever go back and find that specific version, I can go and find what I have removed. So that's what version control is. And I'll be going through that briefly too. And also remote repositories, which helps with version control. You generally use Git and GitHub. And blogging. That will be a brief mention of blogging with Quarto that I find very fascinating. I will also tell you show you how to use Quarto templates. Some journals have started developing templates, which basically means you can write your paper using that template. And when you submit to that journal, it is matching the format that they want. And you didn't hear it from me, but perhaps that gives them a positive bias. This is being recorded. I'll show you an example or two of that. I'll also tell you presentation. How do you make your presentations? In fact, this presentation is made with Quarto, and I'll tell you later how I made it. This is Reveal.js format. There's another one called Beamers. I will show you that too. And that will be it. So I start with this sort of a problem. You all have heard this. Should I say it again? So I faced the problem. I mean, I'm trying to convey as to how I got interested in coding. Back in 2020, this is 2020, I was doing my PhD work, and this type of task I was supposed to do. Now, this is Kendall's experiment that she's currently doing. It looks a bit different on her version. I was running it on MATLAB. The way it works is we get our participant to learn to memorize some word pairs: broom, house, tribe, valley, position, chair, remove cancer, so on and so forth. There are 66 pairs. And then in the next task, we check their memory for those for these ones. So we give them spine, and they're supposed to say lobster. If they can say it, we score it. We give it a score of 1. If they cannot recall it, that's 0. And so this is a baseline for every person, baseline of memorization. And then we do the manipulation, where 1/3 of these words are not presented, another 1/3 are repeated, like we show them in green, and they have to think about the response word. And another 1/3 other, the last 1/3, we show them in red, in random order. And for that, they have to suppress the response word or not think about it. That's the think, no think task, very, very basically. And then once that is done, then we have a recall phase. In recall phase, we give them what we call the cue word again, and we ask them to say the other pair, the right-hand pair. We call it target. And the idea is that for those that were in the baseline condition, there should be no difference, no increase or decrease in your recall percentage. For those that were in think condition, you should be able to recall them better. And for those that were in the no think condition, the one that you have suppressed, you should forget them. You should not be able to recall them. So what we do is we compare the think response with baseline and the no think response with baseline. And with that, we figure out, or we find out, if there's a significant difference between baseline and no think or not. Now, the problem is that for each person, they have memorized different word pairs. They have some are able to memorize only 50% of them. The other can memorize 70%. The other can memorize 90%. For each person, I have to go back and see if they have memorized that or not to begin with. And then after that, I see if they were able to recall it or not. Now you can see it's a lot of labor going and checking each term one by one for each person. It's a lot of work. I had 24 participants. And when I did processing for that, it took me, with my other work during PhD, it took me like 10 days for 24 participants. And when you're doing it that way, there's also chance of human error. You might type 14, instead of 14, you might type 41, for example. And that could mess up your findings, your results. Depending on what time of the day you're doing that, you might be bored then. Yeah, you might make those mistakes. The other issue there was that there was 2 types of recall also. We have same probe recall, we have independent probe recall. So each of these are twice as many. And then next experiment I was doing, I had 4 times as many participants. I had 96 participants who were doing the same thing again. And I was like, okay, I have to set aside 3 months to process these again. And then those days I was I started taking some Python courses together with Scott. You might know him. He finished his PhD recently and he's teaching social psychology. And Danny, another friend of us here. And then I came across these logical statements in Python. And those, with the help of those, you can actually go and code the ones that were memorized to begin with, and then you can write another code to match those with these and give you what you want to assess. Your 4 questions Have they memorized and were able to recall? Have they memorized, were able not to recall? Have they not memorized and were able to recall? Not memorized, not recall. So there are 4 conditions, and it only took a few hundred lines of code. And with that, then this one data set, it takes 30 seconds. I mean, not 30 seconds, actually 5 seconds to be processed instead of, so for the whole 96 participants, it took us 30 minutes to finish. Now that doing one by one, each file one by one. Now, if I wanted to improve the code, I could go and write a code in a way that reads all of these at once and then does that and gives you an output in one Excel sheet. That is possible too. I haven't tried it. That was much better. I mean, it was way more efficient because instead of 3 months, I did it in 30 minutes and that was done. Additionally, that code is now available, and all of my students who have done these types of experience with me, they can use it too. So it's not only for my advantage, but others can use it too. And that is where I thought, okay, how we can make everything else efficient. And that's how I started, getting to know or finding efficient tools, because most of our times, if I'm spending a lot of time doing this, then when should I write? If I'm spending most of my time writing my, getting my reference list, or formatting tables, or putting figures, and generally we use Microsoft Word. The moment you paste something, it screws up the whole formatting. So that was another problem. So time constraints, and then trying to be efficient if you're doing a master's or honors or PhD. And sometimes you just have to do the whole document again. If you're writing it, if it's a thesis, change that to, for example, a publication, then you have to follow the formatting guide of the specific journal. You have to do the whole formatting again. And yeah, my experience is MS Word is not the best application for documentation. And also, this is one of the most important steps here. When you are doing your analysis, especially if you have many experiments, generally you will be using either SPSS or JMovie to do your statistical analysis. Sometimes the problem is that you don't necessarily remember the steps you have taken to get to some specific analysis. And I had, I think, I don't know, it was 10 days or 5 days before I was submitting my PhD dissertation, and I was looking at my data again. I had 22 JMovie files. I did not know what I did in those, and I was panicking. I had to redo all of my analysis again. Although I had a detailed document of what I have done for each file, it didn't make sense. 5 days before submitting PhD, that never made sense to me when I did. So that was another thing. So which decisions I made along the way, and how I got to a specific scatter plot or a t-test or a GG plot that I have put there. So that is important also, not only for myself, but also for a person who's reading, for my supervisor to know how I made those decisions when I got to the specific stage. If I removed any outliers, how I made that decision. So that is another thing that is always handy. And why not have a tool that where you can write what you want to write, but also do statistical analysis in the same document without getting out of that application. And also be able to put your references in the same document, and tables and figures, create them and keep them there, and hide the code. So the final outcome does not actually show your code, it just shows the output. That is how Quarto worked for me. What do you think? Do you guys face similar problems? Can you name some problems that you might have had above and beyond that I mentioned?
Changing figures. As an accountant, you're throwing things through at the last minute, and then you'd have to remember 756 places that it would impact.
Absolutely. So if you insert a new table or a figure between other figures and tables, then you have to change the numbering, or even if you use the hyperlink, you have to make sure that that hyperlink is still working. Now, with this type of, again, you will see that using this, that is, you don't even have to worry about that part. It takes care of it itself. Any other issues that there might be? Okay. So this is my favorite problem, as I mentioned to you earlier. The final doc, and then you have final revision 2. And I had 60 versions of my PhD dissertation. I still have them somewhere on my computer. And then this is a meme I made after I found Quarto. So yeah, you can write your thesis with it. In fact, you could use it with R or I am using it with R. You can use it with Python 2 or a Visual Studio Code. I'd never tried it, but it's possible. And yeah, I will also show you a website or two that I made with this. So what is Quarto? It is an open source scientific and technical publishing system. It's a system. Either you can use Jupyter Notebooks or Python or R or Julia or Observable. It, in fact, is a Markdown editor. Markdown is the previous version of Quarto, and that was for the same purpose, where you can write your text and then embed code within that. You can publish reproducible articles, and the code, it has live code. Live code means you can copy that code and paste it in your own Quarto document and run it and render it. And then you can share that via Posit Connect or GitHub, and others could use the same documents again. And I will show you how to do that today. Yeah, so it is based on kind of Markdown, and you can, as this shows, you can make websites, articles, presentations, books, repositories, and so on and so forth. It's very, so this is a hyperlink. If you click on this blue, it will take you to Quarto website, and you don't actually need anything. If you just click on Get Started, it will tell you how to get started, for example, with RStudio. It gives you step-by-step guide as to how to do it. There's a lot of videos on it. A lot of people are making videos. And they're basically, yeah, if you just learn a few authoring tricks, that's all you need. And if you go to guide, it shows you how to do authoring, see figures, tables, diagrams, citations, computation, yeah, using R or Python, whatever. Yeah, which tool do you want to use? Which type of format do you want? Do you want it HTML or PDF or MS Word? These three that I have used. Do you want to make a presentation? Do you want to make dashboards, a website, a book, so on and so forth, manuscripts. And then there are some, there are some template manuscripts given that you could use.
That all of those like native for specific like working document, like can you essentially just have a page open where you're simultaneously creating figures using R and formatting the layout?
So yeah, so the way it works is you don't actually have to set up format. Generally, when you start with Quarto documentation, it gives you an HTML, an HTML output. So it's like a website page. But then you can decide whether you want to see it as a PDF or a Word. You can download it as a PDF or a Word that you can play with. But initially, it is an HTML format. But if you want a specific format, then there's a bit more elaborate coding needed with some other tools. But whether you create your code with using the R environment or Python or VS Code, when you have the file, the .qmd file, you can open it in any of those applications. So if I create this with R and then you use Jupyter Lab, you should be able to open it there and or Visual Studio Code. So the format we need here is that .qmd format. Once you have that, you can use it on any of these tools here. Yeah, so it could be Visual Studio or Jupyter or RStudio or NeoVim or text editor. You can use any of these. Okay. Now, it is it has started being picked up by academics. A lot of people like it, I think. There's an article in Nature, Cat the Tyranny of Copy and Paste with these coding tools. And they talk about Quarto there. And again, so this is a citation that I have added here, in-text citation. And if you hover on it, you can see, but also at the end of these slides, you will see that the reference available. I will show you how to do that later. Yeah, so it helps you avoid app switching or updating your numbers or fixing an error. If you fix an error in your code, that automatically applies to the rest of your document instead of going and fixing each place. And they're executable manuscripts. That means when you share them using Posit Cloud or GitHub, one could literally download or get that file and run it on your own computer and be able to get the same output, so long as all the other appendices, if there are figures and stuff, they are available. Yeah, it reduces the number of manual things that you have to do. Numbering, figures, tables, references. It helps with transparency because if you share it in a very elaborate way in terms of the decisions you have made and the code you have used, as you will see in a minute, that in the output, you can decide whether your code should be visible or not. But the original .qmd document will show your codes, which in theory means that when you share that with your supervisors, they will see the decision that you have made. And then once they are satisfied with that, you can hide that. And the output, you can download it as a PDF and just submit it as your, I don't know, master's thesis, and that will be it. And then you could use the same QMD in a, for example, Taylor and Francis template, and render it there, and it takes their form of the paper, and then you can just submit that to their journal without making any. It might take about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's about it. You don't have to make any further changes. So in terms of transparency and open science, it helps. And as I mentioned earlier, in terms of version control, that's available too. And again, I will show you how you look at the previous changes that you have made on GitHub. And it helps you with collaboration, because once you started creating these and share them either via Posit Cloud or GitHub, you can add collaborators, and then you can work together on a specific project. It is a bit of a steep curve when you start learning it, but once you get used to it, I found it very useful. So we start with basics of documentation. Before we go there, if you want to have a hands-on experience of this, all you need to do is to install, if you haven't yet, just install R and RStudio. On your computers. And then there is a file that I shared with Charlie. I didn't? You have got it? Did I use a wrong email address for you, Charlie? So if you haven't, if you want to, maybe install this, install RStudio, install R and RStudio on your computers, depending on what you have, whether it's Mac or Windows, or if you're using some other system, they're fancy ones that I don't use. And I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. And also Kylie can share that document with all of you. All right, does everyone who wants to do it hands-on have installed RStudio? And does everyone have the file, the code?
Try.
You don't have the code.
I put it on the school.
Oh, you put on the-
I understood, yes. So the word.
It's an RTF rich text format file.
Yeah.
Yeah, please email it to everyone.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly what I said. I'm on Discord. Yeah, no, it's anymore.
PPA 89.
I do have an embarrassing username, so.
89?
PPA 89.
Oh, I haven't been on
Okay,
it on that
gotcha.
laptop for a while.
And Lucy? LGR 79. Okay,
I had
Thank
15
you.
updates.
Yeah.
I tend to use it on the phone, and I only ever use it if I'm trying to contact the voice and then ignoring me. I can sometimes get used to on Discord in the absence of all of them.
Yeah, I don't have that problem
Put
yet.
down on it.
You go back.
I don't know how to run. I put Inder and Instagram. I think I've got TikTok somewhere. But everybody uses Discord. Like, you don't know what's something.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
I don't know why it's in the
Yeah.
It's just a format. That's what.
Okay. Does everyone have the code now? Okay, if you have the code, it should be a file like, how do I remove this? Move this from here, remove this, move this. Here, it should be a file like this. Don't do anything with it, just leave it. I will tell you when to use or how to. Let's go back to here. So you're talking about documentation with Quarto. Basics are, so you have the latest version of RStudio, at least 2022 or above. And within RStudio, click on New File, drop-down menu, and open a new Quarto document and name it. Give it any name that you would like. I would just go and create one. So it's Quarto document. I might call it QCC, which is Quarto Crash Course, and maybe demo. Yeah, you can add your name as the name of the author. I will perhaps just add my own name. And don't change anything else. Just leave it as HTML. We'll look at PDF and Word later. And that's about it. Don't make any other changes. Click on Create. Now, is it? If maybe you have an old version of R. If that is the case, do one thing. Go here to this, find console.
It just says.
Yeah, just say yes and install. So for those of you that don't have it or needs, you just do this, install dot packages, and then type R Markdown. One word, and hit enter. I'm not doing it because I don't need it, but that's what you would do.
That's great. Looks like yours. We don't need it.
Yeah, if this is what it looks like, except for author name, you don't need it. So this document shows you the basics of Quarto documentation. See, this is title. So we can add some further changes here. I will show you in a minute. And this is the text that you will be writing, and this is the code. So this is our code. And I will show you in a second how do you put that code. But also, if you want to hide the code, you can hide it too and only look at the outcome. So all you need to do is once you're at this stage, hit render. When you hit render, then it will ask you to save this in your working directory wherever you are. So I would just call it again QCC demo And I will perhaps save it in the same folder where it's easier to save it in the same folder where you are working. That's much easier than saving it anywhere else, because this is more efficient. And if you are, for example, trying to read an Excel file there, then you can just copy that here also and it will read it. So for that purpose, it's always good to save it in the same directory where your original R Studio is, or where original R project is, I would say. So I will save it. And with saving, see, it is rendering, it's doing something in the background, and this is the output. Now you can see it here. See, this is the title. I can change the title and call it Quarto Crash Course Demo and render it again. And yeah, so this is a URL, as you can see, and running code. So it tells you that if you use just R like that, it will show you the code and the output. If you type echo false, then it will only show you the output, but will not show you the code itself. Which, yes.
Mine doesn't open in here and opens in the browser, and I've had that issue like the whole time I've been using. Is there a reason why yours opens?
It will open here?
No, yeah, it just opens like that. It doesn't
Directly
show,
there?
Yeah, it doesn't show in the viewer at all.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I don't know why. So have you clicked on a viewer? Is it empty?
Yeah.
Just for all of you? Wow.
It also came up in the working pane, like where you've got code, it just came up stylized like that for me already.
Yeah. Mine didn't do that.
Okay. What you could do is maybe go here, go to here, to this create a project. Click on this and create, for example, a project on desktop, and also save your new file there in the same location. That might be, but I honestly don't know why that happens. New project, new R project. I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if it opens, I will figure that out. I will find why that happens. But that is, I would bring you here anyways. I will try to show it to you here. In fact, the other one's also opened here. So that doesn't matter. But and this is the HTML format that we need. Maybe we can run a quick Google search and find out why is that happening. But the first time I'm hearing that. So if we keep that problem as a problem and look at it, so it will open in a browser. It will look like this, and basically this is an HTML document or HTML format that you have generated. Now, as I said, you can make changes in this. And to make changes, what I will want you to do is just delete all of this and go to the code that I gave you and just copy this bit. It's called the YAML YAML. So between these three and these three dashes, copy this whole thing. Paste it in this document, in this Quarto document again. Don't leave any spaces, it's not needed. And then render it. If you do that on your browser, it will look like this. So this gives you the title. These are categories, like keywords. And yeah, date. Does it work for everyone? Cool. All right. Now, the first thing I want to show you is headings. So there are 6 level headings that you can get with this. Again, copy only this headings part and run it, we can have a look. So yeah, if I render this, see, it gives us heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on level that you want. You just put a hashtag sign. If you have one that's level 1, heading 2, level 2, and so on and so forth. So these are headings. If you wanted to italicize or use bold font or bold and italic both, here's how you do it. As you can see, with italic is a star before, a star after, with bold 2 stars before, 2 stars after, and 3 stars before and after, that's bold and italic. Render again, and you see the output here. Sorry, does it look different? Okay. So again, if you want to see it on a browser, on a local browser, you can just click on this show in a new window, and it will update here. Now, if you want to list items, or okay, let me show you 3 other things here. Copy listing items, bullet points, and also inserting a hyperlink. Go back to your RStudio, hit enter. Now, if you paste all of these and render again, as you can see here, if you wanted to list an item, you just use 1 dot space and list item 1, 2 dot space list item 2, and so on. If you want to use bullet points, you just use dash space number 1 and number 2, and that will create a bullet point list. If you want to insert a hyperlink, this is how it works. So the name of the hyperlink is in these 2. Is it parentheses or brackets or what? Yeah, square brackets. And then you have parentheses and put the URL there. Now the output will look like this. Listing items, as you can see, these 2 bullet points like this, and it will only show the name of the URL with a line below it. If you click on that, it will take you to the URL that you added there. A bit of self-promotion here, but hey. Okay, so this is how you will add a URL. Another important thing here is, obviously, so this is how you write, but how you embed our code there, how you do your analysis there. And this is what comes in handy now. Now, for us to be able to do that, first you need to install 3 packages. Perhaps you would not have them. One is read Excel, I think. Let me check here. You read _ CSV. So all you need to do is go to terminal, console, type install packages in this format. As you can see, install packages, here type read _ CSV. I think that is the, so, and enter, see if it works or not. Is it working? Okay, there's one thing else you can try. Maybe try read R. Let me try it myself. Okay, let me see. Install. Oh, I use installed, not installed. You should use install packages, sorry. Install packages and then read _ CSV. See, it is not available for this version of R. Okay, do one thing else. Install packages, read R. Updating loaded packages. If you use read R, let me know what does that show you. instead of read CSV, just use R. See, it is working for me at least. So this is just read R, all one word, all small. Did that? If you have it installed, just leave it as it is. Has it been working? Could you install it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Good.
They had full patches.
Oh yeah, I think yeah. So there will be some difference in Windows and Mac. I'm using Mac. So yeah, once this is installed, then so there is just go ahead and copy this whole thing. Forget about this tidyverse and deploy it for now. I'll get to that later. So just copy this whole bit. This is one way is to just copy this. The other way that the correct way will be to go to your file and say, all right, the title will be embed our code. And then you want to add a code chunk here. So you will click on this +C. This is now our environment where you can run code. And then you will go to the code that I've provided and just copy this command from here and paste it here. So it is college. So and so we are using the read R package. From that we are getting read CSV command, and this file is available somewhere online. It's a .csv file. We are reading it to R and calling it college. Once you get to this stage, if you hit render, it will. So if you get an output like this, it has 1,269 rows and 17 columns. That basically means that you are successfully able to read or bring the data into your R environment. Has that worked?
Yeah.
What happened? Sorry, Lucy.
And mine.
Okay, fine. I could help and fix it, or we can look at it later. Yeah, I think only just looking at it might also help. So as you can see, I was able to read the file here. Now what I want to do is I want to see what is in it. So I give it a summary command. I could just go here and paste that summary college, render it again, and go back to browser because that's how it looks for you all too. So if I click on summary, it shows me all the column names. So one column is called ID, and these are all the IDs. So for some reason, it's giving me minimum, maximum. It gives you the descriptives, which we don't need, but it still gives you an understanding of what we have in this file. So we obviously, if you're reading a file into this into R, you know what the file is. And it's a CSV file that you collected data on, and you know what each variable means. So in this case, consider that you know what it means. So we have IDs, we have names, some specific names, and we have 12 of 69 of them. And we have city names, we have states, we have regions, we have highest degree, there's a control variable, there's gender, and admission rate, and SAT scores, undergrads tuition. So this is the data from United States institutions, some college data in terms of what we call it, private versus public institutions, SAT scores, how expensive or cheap they are in terms of studying in those universities, private versus public, and also then the size of undergraduate students in each of these faculties or institutions. So this is the data set. Now, this, you can look at it, and because you have collected data yourself, you should be able to understand what each of these mean. In this case, you don't, because you haven't seen this data before. Now, looking at this data, first thing that we do is we set some of the variables as factors, because that is what we need if you're doing some sort of calculations with these. So I will paste that. As you can see, there is some instructions for myself. I say, okay, I'm setting some variables as factors. And here there are two more packages that you will need. One is dplyr, dplyr. So you need to install dplyr. And also there's another one that you need to install. It's tidyverse. So go to, again, you need to go to console, install packages, and then type dplyr. That's dplyr. Hit enter. That will install the dplyr package. And also, the other name is also given there. The other is called tidyverse. So you install tidyverse. I think when you install tidyverse, it automatically installs dplyr also. It's part of tidyverse, I believe. In any case, once you install these, one is like installation of a package. And then the second part is activating that package so you can use it. If you want to activate a package in our environment, you use library command. As you can see here, if you say library tidyverse, that means you're activating tidyverse in that specific working environment. Library dplyr, again, you're activating dplyr in that work environment. Sometimes if you click, if you hit library and it tells you it's not available, then you're prompted to install it. Yeah.
So the backticks and then R in the curly brackets is when you want to embed code.
Yeah. So you can just use this format. Sorry, this insert the new code chunk. If you're using Mac, it is Option, Command, and L. Sorry, Option, Command, I. Not L, L. Yeah, Option, Command. So for the next 2-3 analyses, some changes that I'm making to data, I'm using dplyr, and also tidyverse is used actually later. So let me bring this. So here, as you can see within code, I type library dplyr. That means activate dplyr here. And then I wrote some code where I want to, now I'm not teaching you R today. So just, accept the code as it is. If you wanted to learn R, that's a different session. We can have some time. But here what I'm using is changing some of variables as factors or setting some of them as factors. When I render this, again, I look at my outcome here. Nothing has changed, in fact. That is what it is. I just wanted to set them as. Now look at summary again. And I'll show you that there is a problem. So I said see summary again, and I'm looking at summary after setting them as factors. Here's something called default loan rate. Now, loan rate technically is a number, but it shows me as a character, not as a number. So there's perhaps something wrong with this. I want to find out what is wrong. So for me to be able to do that, I go back and run this command. So I'm typing for myself. Now, say, for example, now you're thinking that, all right, I'm looking and this looks problematic. What should I do? You're doing your analysis, you're talking with yourself, but you're also making notes. Default loan rate looks problematic. Let's find out. Now, when I render this again, I could see that there are some nulls here. Now, null is something, all of them are numbers. So this is a loan rate, it's another loan rate, but these are not a null. Now, null, R does not recognize null. R should call it NA instead of null. So I have to change all the nulls in this to NA, and that will fix the problem. So I'm gonna run this command. Okay, I'll show you all of these together. Now here, there's a null and we need to get rid of it or change it to, so when we set it as numeric, this gets rid of null and change it to NA. And then we are looking at summary again, and let's see what it gives us as the outcome. So here, when we look at, we set it to null and it says NA is introduced by coercion. So we forced those null to change to NA. We look at summary again, and now the loan rate minimum is 0, maximum is 0.33, and here's 2 NAs. So we fixed the problem that we had. This is data wrangling. We're not working on it today, but I just wanted to show you how, like, when you are trying to do something and writing with yourself that these are the steps that I have taken. Now, what I also want to do is maybe just a basic plot. So I want to plot SAT scores, SAT average scores with tuition fee. So this is, for this use, actually we use ggplot. So if you have not installed ggplot, again, you have to install that and then activate it. And then this is the command you're using data college and use geometrical points. So that is just a scatter plot, and X is your tuition, Y is SAT average scores. If I render this, I get a scatter plot of SAT scores versus tuition fee. Now, I want to add another layer there. Show you soon. So here, I'm looking at, I added another layer, which is control, and a control variable has either a school is a private or public. And when I use color for that, it gives me two different colors. One of them is, so these are the private universities or institutions, and these are the public universities or institutions. Now, say you got to this part, and by now you're satisfied, but you just want to make some final changes. And again, you want to remember what you have done. So this final code, let's run this. And then we do one other thing. So here, now this is a more elaborate code of, some formatting of the graphic and so on and so forth. And when we run this, it gives us, if we hide that we haven't hidden yet, if we hide this, it will show as association between SAT score and tuition fee in use colleges factored by institution type and number of students. So this is the final output, for example, that I came up with. Now, when you make it to this point, you, for example, decided that, oh, all right, I'm here. Now I want to go back and get rid of, I want to keep the rest of my steps with me, but I don't want them to show here. I want to hide them from my output. Now, what you do is you just go to for example, the first thing, for example, here, you want, actually, it's just here. If I open a new Quarto document, it's given to us. So if you say echo false under any R code chunk, that will hide your R code. Here, for example. So here the output, as you can see, the output is here, but the R code is gone. Now you can do that for any, and in fact, you can also clean this. There's another include. I think there's another command called include. Include, yeah. If you say include false, then it also cleans up the output. So that basically means you can go and type this echo false and include false with all the codes that you don't want to show in the output, say here and here. I'm just doing 3 examples, and here 4 examples, and maybe here. Let's render this. Now here in the original body of your code or the QMD document, that code exists, it's working in the background, but in the output, you don't see it. It just tells you the text that you have written, set some variables as factors, see summary again, default loan rate looks problematic, let's find out. So all those, the text is there, but the R code itself and the output are gone, which basically means once you get to your final step of what you want to have, you can hide all of the rest of code and the output, but maybe you just write a summary here that in terms of processing, I did this, and then your final product shows up. The rest of these codes and outputs are gone. But in the original document, you have a record of what you have done step by step. You just use echo false and include false. So which means whatever processing you're doing in the background, that is still happening. You can hide all of these and only show the final output. Let me actually go here and do it. I will remove basic plot also, and this one also. And only for the final one, I will remove the include part, only say echo false. Here. So all the steps are here. I can use them to write a summary, but it only shows me the final output. All the other processes that I have done in the background, they are there. Sorry, not this one. But they are no more visible in the output in the HTML format. And that's what I was saying, that instead of now using another software to do all of these things, you're doing in the same environment, then you're hiding your code. Only output is visible there, and that is your work presented. Yeah.
Is that then treated as like a forward paper?
Sorry?
What sort of like are the dimensions that would be presented?
Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. So this is HTML. So, but you can render it as a PDF or as a Word. We'll get to that. Now, this is just the basics of documentation. If you're writing a paper or you're writing a thesis, if you can do this many things, this is good enough. The only last thing is adding a citation or an in-text citation or something like that. Say, for example, this is from a paper, or let's cite someone here. According to who? Give me some help.
And others.
No, we need to have a real paper. So let's find Randy Grace. Say this was based on, not Randy, maybe Randolph. Yeah, so this is Randy. And say whatever we are talking about, that is from this one of recent papers, this one. So I'll go to this paper and get the DOI. Just paste this part only. Copy this. Now I'll go to my R environment again. Now here, when you're using Quarto, there are 2 types of editors. One is a source editor. The other is visual. Visual is much easier. I just don't use it. Visual is much easier because it basically gives you menus: bold, italic, normal, the types of headings that you can have. You have number list, you have bulleted, and you have formatting, different types of formatting, and you can also insert your citations here. So I will go to insert and then say citation, and then I'll paste So I will go to from DOI. I'll paste the DOI here. It's looking it up. It found it. Once it's found, see, do you want it to be in text or just part of the word? So let's say use in text or part of the sentence. And if I insert this here, Martin 2024. Now, if I render this again, it will do two things. First thing, it will create an entry here at the end of your document. It will call it references. It also created an in-text citation, and it will also create a new file, references.bib. Okay, let's find another one. Okay, besides Nikki's paper, let's cite this Oliver's paper too. They're two different papers, but hey. Okay. All right, so I'm only copying this part. If I copy more of this, it will give me an error in the Quarto. So it only needs a DOI from this 10 onwards. So I'm copying this. Just use Control C or Command C. Command C. Then I go back to R. So what I do here is I go to the visual editor. So I'll say according to Martin, and then I'll go to Insert menu. And I'll go to Citation. And then from DOI. So there could be different. You could use your on Zotero. I use my on Zotero, but this is just, or you could use any of these, bibliography or Zotero, DOI or Crossref or whatever you want. DOI is the easiest, I think. So you just paste that here. It's looking it up. And it has found it. Click Insert here. So once it is available here, then render it. Go back. And you will see that now you have two references, Morton and Plug. And both of them are here. Morton et al. And Plug, Grace and Coring, 2024.
What is it on the source side? On the source side, what does it look like? Sorry.
And the source in the source editor, it looks the same. But here, so insertion is important that you insert it in this way. If you're using it again, then you can just copy this and paste it again later. So the original one, the first time when you're doing it, you have to do it from that way, so it will recognize where it's coming from. The second time, you can just copy paste.
So go down like line 147 and write in a later paper, later in that same Morton 24 paper, type out.
Let's see. Let's try. Should. Yeah. It is. So these are the basics of documentation. This is as much as I wanted to share about this. Let me see, find what else do I have on the menu. Oh, it's the end. No, it's not the end yet. All right. So we talked about this part. So one was the way that we did. The other will be that you just use someone else's QMD file. Say, I wrote some code, shared it with you. You can just copy. Now that's the important part. You have a .qmd file. All you need to do is go to the folder where you are working. Now I'm in this folder. This is where my current environment is. Go to the specific folder, paste that QMD file here. And once you do that, go back to R. It will show in your files. I will show you that later. It will, and you just need to open it and render it. So instead of writing your own code, you could just use someone else's code if they share their QMD with you, and then you can just run that and here. So you either have a source or visual. editor, as I just showed you, then hit render, and you will see output in the viewer menu. I don't know why for some of you it doesn't, but yeah, so this was that we have covered. Yeah, we did this, and there's a comprehensive step-by-step guide available. All the basics of Markdown are here: bold, italic, strike through, different headings. How do you insert a figure? How do you name it? How do you how do you caption it? And also, how do you reference to this in a different part of the text? So you, for example, if you use this in the beginning and then use another figure between this and the previous one, how it changes according to where you are, all these things. And you have to see, as you can see, lists, footnotes, tables, and so on and so forth. So all the information is here, and even diagrams. So you can do all of these. Whatever you need for your thesis or for your paper, all the instructions are here. There is some problem. Okay. I'll try not to lose this again. All right. There's a YouTube video. I'm sharing the slides with you. So if you find this video, let me right click on this. There's a this was my first encounter with Quarto.
Is the fast, fun way.
Not this one, but yeah, it's called Welcome to Quarto Workshop, led by Tom Mank. Tom Mank is, I think, the guy who developed Quarto. So if you watch this video, it literally gives you everything that you need to get you started with Quarto. Yeah, visual editor is the easiest, but you can also use the source. And yeah, you use executable manuscripts in RStudio, Python, and so on. Okay, if you want to save it as PDF, right? All you need to do is just paste this code at the beginning. So I'm copying this. As I said, it's executable. So this code, actually, you can copy it from here. I just copied this. I go to RStudio. I go to the demo document. This is the document I have been using. I go to this part, see, to the YAML. This is the editor of your document. You just paste this here. Format, PDF, table of contents true, or false if you don't want. Numbers of sections true, color links true. Render. It's creating a PDF, as you can see. Here, a PDF has been generated. You can view it in the browser. Here. Or, sorry, not this. You can go to your R environment again, click on Files, and you will see that a PDF document with the same name as your Quarto file has been created or generated. So this is just a basic PDF with name, table of contents, date, headings. So everything that you have done so far, it will show up as a PDF. And yeah, these are your references. Now, what you could also do is instead, you could use, viewers, no more available. That's why it's gone. You could also use, it takes me to the end. If you want to save it as a Word, you could do that too, as a Word document, not instead of PDF. So you can, you want to still make some changes. So you will just copy this code and paste it here. So I will get rid of PDF. Instead, I will paste the docx here. Everything else is the same, almost the same. Render this again. Now, say Microsoft, where this document contains fields that may not. All right, yes, okay, here. So this, you can get a Word format out of it too. So the basic was HTML, but you can decide to have PDF or.
So, what's the difference between having output and format? Because you're outputting it as an HTML document, but also as a PDF / Word.
Yeah, so it depends. If you're just using it for a website, if you're just putting it on a website, you don't need to render it as a PDF or Word. Say you're making a blog, it's a blog post. You would not necessarily need to have it as a PDF or Word. But if you want to have it as a PDF, say you wrote a letter, or it's your CV, or your thesis that you want to submit, then you could use it. You could get it as a PDF and then submit that. It does. So the QMD is already there. Yeah.
So if people search.
If you put it online, yeah.
Oh, the info.
Yeah, we're getting to that part. Yeah. So the basic HTML is there. This is there, but that you could have an extra PDF, or because whenever you go and run your, see, the docx and the PDF are the one that we have created, but the original HTML is still here. It's not going anywhere. The HTML will still be here. You can open it in a browser, and it will still look the same as it was. So yeah, so HTML is still there, but you can also have it as a PDF or as a docx. All right. Okay. Now the next thing, how should I fix this? Okay, maybe here. Yeah, saving as Word, version control. So what version control? Okay, what's version control? Now, as I mentioned earlier, with version control, what we want to do is, instead of having many versions of the same document, you just want to have one version. And every change that you have brought, they are in the background somewhere. So one of those systems is Git. That tracks changes in any set of computer files. Yeah, so you can read this. It's used by programmers, but also by those who want to be coders like me. They use it too. Yeah, it came about in 2005, and there's a link to our official site that you can. I'm not afraid of clicking on it because I will lose this file again. But this is so. For this, you will need to follow the instructions on the website and install it on your system. I have already installed it on my system. So it basically tells you how to use it. You read this and you find it. And there's a lot of free courses on YouTube and on, not Coursera, what's the other one? I don't know. Udemy, yeah. There's that Udemy, a couple of Udemy courses, also one LinkedIn Learning free course on, if you have LinkedIn Learning, on how to use Git. And it's very easy, but this presentation is not about that, so I'm not gonna go through it. But what it does is, as it says, it tracks changes in a set of computer files, and then I use that together with GitHub. Now, GitHub is a internet hosting service for software development and for sharing code, and it uses Git. So what basically you do is, using Git, you can make some changes to a file or versions of files on your local system, and you can just keep it there. So when you check your Git folder, you will be able to find the previous versions if you need to. I don't use it locally. I just push all of my changes to GitHub, because generally it helps. If I'm collaborating with someone, I'll create a private GitHub repository and only share it with those that I'm collaborating with. Or I will create a public repository, and all the code that I have been generating, that will be available on that repository. So anyone else can use that. I will show you. I have some of the available codes that any of you could use. It's just public. Anyone can use that QMD document and render it on your own computer and modify it for themselves. So once that is there, then you go to your computer and you make further changes to that. Those changes are pushed to your remote repository on GitHub, and that change automatically happens there while keeping track of the previous versions. So I will give you a demonstration of that in a second. Now, for that to work, for example, I use that for blogging. I'll also use that for collaborating. If I'm writing a paper together with the group, that's how generally I do it. So I create the paper on an R environment using Quarto. I write it, I add some figures and statistical analyses, and then I push the changes to that repository, and my other authors have access to that, and then they can see it on their own end what has changed, and then they can make changes, and I get notified by the changes that they have made, and I decide whether I want to accept those changes or not. So you can decide whether you want to accept your collaborators' changes or not, and of course they'll be commenting, making comments as to what changes they made and how. I will show you that in a second. So in that way, you can collaborate using Git and GitHub, and that makes it much easier than using different. Oh, I'm sharing V1 with you now, V2. Let's find V3, and a lot of new files. The other advantage of that will be that if you're collaborating with someone and they are making changes, then you get notified, and as I said, you decide whether you want to accept those changes or not, or you can give someone feedback based on what they have done, and then or improve your code in that sense. So yeah, the other thing you can do is, okay, if you want to create a blog, I will show you how to make a blog. You can either use you can use the quarto.yml file in your local repository, and it will change to a blog. That's a difficult way. Easier way is to just use an available blog template and create a new local repository and then take it from there. So I will give you an example of that. Yeah. So for you to be able to blog, you need to have you need to have a GitHub account. You need to connect your local system with the repository. And you also need to create a repository on GitHub, and then you connect remote repository with the local one. And then you will be able to blog. It sounds a lot of things, but it's very easy. Let me show you how to do it. Now, pretend that I want to create a blog. First step, I will just go here. I will save this. I'm creating a new R directory. I will go to R, and instead of project or package, I will just go and create blog. Now I'm making a temporary blog that I will give you, you will all be able to access, and I'll also put these files on that. It will be available for a week. You can use it for any purpose. Then I will delete it because there is so many unnecessary repositories. So I'll call it UCC UC temp. Oh, that's just a weird name that I gave it. I use descriptive names, and you decide where you want to create this. So it is in my documents in the GitHub folder. I create this, and here you go. This is beginning of a blog. Now, besides this, I said something here that, okay, I lost that again. So let me show you here. Not this one. Okay, I go to .yml. All I need to do is to be able to make this blog online via GitHub. I just need to add an extra thing here. Output directory docs. That's it. You don't worry about it for now. I'll save this. And now I'll go to GitHub. So I'm going to create a new repository there. I will call it Quarto crash course. You can give it any name that you want. UC temp. I just give it the same name so I will not confuse something else. And as it will tell you, it is available. You do not want to have similar name for two repositories in your account. So once you create this, then all you need to do is, now, given that you have connected this GitHub with your local computer, All you need to do is copy this code, go to R, go to terminal, paste it here, enter. Now, this basically has brought information from that repository to this. Say I go to README and say this repo will be removed in a week from now. I save this, render this, and I go to build. I render the website, and I go to my Git menu. So if you installed Git, you will have a Git menu here, and you will tick everything that you have here. So these are the new files or the new additions. So these are the additions that you're making to remote repository from your computer. So these are the new changes that you have brought. See, and then commit. So in this commit, what you do is you write a message to remind you what you have done. So say blog started, for example, and then you commit to that, close it, and then when you click push, you're pushing it to GitHub. Close this, go to GitHub. If you refresh this, you will see that the things that you have generated, they are all here. Before we do this, let's go back to R. Now this is when you built it, and it's an HTML. If I open this in a window, this is how it will look like. It's my blog. It has started. See, this is the title. You can change it, of course, going back. And there are two posts that you already have. One is called Post with Code, and it's called Welcome to my blog. You can make changes to this and create your own website out of it. Now, this is still in the local repository. It is not online yet. How do you make it online? Go here, go to settings, pages. And here, deploy from a branch. It's already, so leave it as it is. And then here, instead of select main, and this is the docs folder that we created. And then save it. And give it a minute. So it's deploying. Now it's sending it online. If I go to code, see it shows pending here. Give it a minute. Taking more than a minute. First time it takes a bit. Yeah, so it's successful now. I go back to settings. How to find the URL. I go to pages again. This is the URL. So now the blog is online already. See, we created a blog in 5 minutes. If I, let me copy this. Here's a better way, copy link. If I click on it, all of you can find this. If you type this in your browser, you should be able to find this blog that we just started creating. But the other thing, so every time you cannot just go to settings and find this. So the easiest way is go back to the code menu, and in this section, just paste the URL here. It's handy. So whenever you come to your GitHub repository, you can just click on it and it will take you to your blog. Now, if I wanted to add today's what we have learned so far also on the blog for you, so you can access it, and also maybe the PowerPoint file, the other presentation files. This is what I will do. So this is my R, and I have files here. I'll go to posts, the posts that I have made. I'll make two new folders. One folder I will call it demo. Call it Quarto demo. Okay, and the other I will call it presentation. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll go and find these original files. The demonstration, the demo file is here, as you can see, QCC, the demo, and the crash course file is here. They also have a bib file that I need. I'll copy all these three. Then I'll find my temporary repository that I just created, and I will paste. So I'll go to posts. Yeah, it's 2 of them. So paste this here. So demo should go here. And crash course. It will go to presentation. And reference file is shared by both of them. So I will make a copy of it here. And put it here. Now I go back here. As you can see, the new files or that I have added there available here, just to make sure that all the changes are happening and taking place over the website. I will build the website once again. And just to make sure, I will see it here. As you can see, the basics of Quarto documentation and also the crash course both have been added here. Now I'll go back to R and I will tick all of these. Now, well, again, you go to commit and you say, right, demo and presentation added. Just to remind yourself what changes you made in this part. Close, push, and that in a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, that will again be available on your blog. So I go here again, go to GitHub, refresh this. So you'll see it's pending for now. But the files have been added already. If you go to posts, you will be able to see that both folders have been added. It just takes some time until it deploys it online.
As a public repository, we should be able to.
You should be able
run
to
that
view it.
code.
You should be able to, in fact, clone it to your own computer. So I will show you how to do that. That's very easy. You can get the whole thing. Yeah. So you'll just, I'll just show you in a minute. So see, it's successful now. If I click on the link again, see, I have to refresh it perhaps. Yeah, here. So their basics of Quarto documentation is here. And all the code and everything that's visible, that's here. And if I go back, the other will be these ones. So this is here too. Why I don't use this? I'll just use this, right? And leave it. Oh, so there is some problem with the figures. That's okay. I perhaps haven't added the figures yet. I should add them now. Or I can add it later, but they're here. Yeah. So I need to get this one also. Posts, Quarto demo, presentation. So these are the figures that I have used, but I haven't put them yet. That's why these links are broken. Anyways, once I rendered that again, see, as you can see, you cannot see the figures here. So that was blogging. Now at the end, I will show you a couple of blogs that I have been using, but let's finish it by templates. I will talk about templates also. Or maybe I can show you this. So when it comes to blogging, you can just do a basic blog where you talk about, some specific phenomenon that you're working on. Or you could just create a repository without a blog. So this is one of the repositories I have been making. Now, today's slides are available on this. Or for example, so this is Reveal. The current slides that I'm showing you, this is called Reveal.js. So let me open this and show you. In terms of presentation, we are getting to presentation later, but hey, I can show you now. So this format is called Reveal.js. the slides that you have been seeing, this format of PDFs is called, presentation is called Reveal.js. Another one is called, I think it's 31st May, this one, I guess. No, 2nd May, perhaps. No, I think this is the one. Yeah, so there's another format. It's called Beamers. Yeah, I think it's this one, Beamers. Yeah. So instead of Reveal.js, one could use Beamers format, and that also gives you, yeah, this is another format of presentations that you can use with Quarto. Now, the advantage of using this system is now all of these presentations are online in a public repository, and I can just use this URL on my website and say, I have given a talk in a specific place. The slides are available here, and one could go and see them. But in addition to that, the QMD file is also available. So one could technically get this code and use it, modify it for themselves and create a presentation for themselves. So how do you do that? I'll show you that in a minute. So this is one type of repositories. The other are, so as you can see, I have some private repositories too. And this is another public one. So this is my website. So again, using Quarto. So for basics of blog, you can be as elaborate as you can. And this is, I have been working on this for a few weeks now. So as you can see, this has the format of a blog, but it's more than that. So as you can see, you have a about page, you have CV, you have publications page, and you can design it in any way that you want. So you can have a different tab or paper for sheet for everything that you have. So on and so forth. Now, this is not complete yet because it still has the github.io version. What I'm trying to do is, once it's complete, I will go to settings, and I'll go to pages, and I'll give it my own custom domain name. That is yet to happen, but currently it's in this form. The other thing with this is, here is some information at the end. So I didn't use this. I didn't make this myself. I adapted it from Andrew Heiss. So this is the advantage of open science, or using GitHub. So what Andrew did, he created his own website, and he gave it a Creative Commons. As you can see, mine and his are strikingly similar. But why? He says it's under Creative Commons CC by 4.0. Now, this 4.0 is that you can use, he's allowing you to use his template or his website's template, so long as you mention him or acknowledge him. And that's what I have done. So I says, see, under Creative Commons, adapted from Andrew Heiss, and that's all you need. So I used his, and I modified it for myself. And then, one could use that again and create your own website. So that will be it takes some time, but it's fun, I think. So the final thing will be, where is it? Templates. So some journals have already started creating templates for that you can use, and you can write your papers on Quarto. So we talked about blogging. Yeah, templates. For example, Taylor and Francis, they have their own template. Now, this is a Taylor and Francis template that I have used so far, and it's made by Mike Mahoney. So all you need to do is go. See, it says, how do you use this template on your own computer? You'll just go copy this, go to your R, go to terminal, paste it, return. And it says, this is something, do you want it? Do you trust the author? Yes. Would you like to continue? I would say yes. Give it a name. Oh, video mission using default browser? Yes. What did I do? Um, let me go back to for some reason didn't create. Oh, here. No. Let me go back. Perhaps I made a mistake. Create a new article. You can use this as a template to create a new article. Do this, use the following command. Try again. Do you trust the author? Yes. Oh, you give it a direct. Why it didn't work? So I will call it my new paper, and go back here. Here, my new paper. It has created a new repository. It has created a new folder. When I go there and open the QMD file and render it, it will basically start a paper. So this is the template for Taylor and Francis. See these author names, it's the article name. You can type your abstract here, compiled on July 18, keywords, introduction. It literally gives you all the instructions you need to write your article. How do you run code? How do you make a table? How do you install packages? How do you bring a figure? How do you do your citations and references? So the template is already there. All you need to do is to change these to what you want to do, and it will give you a QMD file. It serves a QMD file. It will also give you create a bib file, and once you render it, it will also create a PDF file, as you can see here. So this will be the PDF that you can submit, or some journals want you to submit the text, so you'll be just submit the TX file with the bib file, and that will give them the format that they want. I use this a lot. So that's another way. So templates are available. All you need to do is to just change them to what you want, and basically you will create journal-friendly documents the way they want them. That was perhaps it. Let me see if there's anything else that I have to say. Where is it? Yeah, templates. Okay, so to wrap it up, advantages of documentation with Quarto keeps your data files and write-up files integrated. So you can have your code and write-up together. You can use reusable, you can create reusable workflows. Once you wrote a paper, for example, if you use the same format again, you're saving a lot of time by putting authors' names and formatting and all that. You can use version control. I haven't shown you that yet. To see previous versions, I will show you that. You can hide or show your art code, and you can use your ready-made QMD files to a journal template. And the PDF version is generally appropriate for PsycArchive. In fact, recently I realized that they also have created a PsycArchive template also. So we talked about presentation. We have two types of presentations. One of them uses Reveal.js. This is the one that I'm currently showing you. And the other will be Beamers. And again, you can share your slides. Either you can save them as a PDF, and then you can share them via Google. If you click on this, it shows you how to do that. Here's a screenshot. It's not visible anymore. Yeah. So if you want to print it to PDF, you can just use in the Chrome. The other way will be that I just showed you earlier. You can put them, you can send them to GitHub in a public repository, give URL to someone, and they will be able to access it. Yeah. And final thoughts. So I showed you my repositories. There's another thing called Awesome Quarto. It gives you a lot of new information and updates in terms of how to use Quarto. It's very elaborate, very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of videos on it. If you have any feedback for me, because it's available for you, you should be able to give me feedback. Yeah, the last thing, how do you see changes, version control? So say you created a document and you brought some changes. How do you go back and find out what changes you have made? Here. So I click on, so if you remember, when I would hit comment, I will write a comment here. This is the comment. So you click on that comment and it will show you what you have added. So these are the things that I have added, as you can see. If I have removed something, if I deleted something, that will show in red. I haven't removed anything here, so that should be there. Maybe in one of those posts, perhaps. No, I didn't change anything. So generally, it shows you what you have added, but also it shows you what you have removed. So here, for example, the things that you have added, they will look. So this is only additions. If you deleted something and added something new, it will show you in red and green. So you can go and track back all the changes that you have made. Let me see if I perhaps have something here. CV, I think it's in CV. I will have something removed and something. Yeah, here. So I removed an old file and changed some of the formatting there and added a new file. So it will show you, that something has been added, something has been removed. Like here, for example, I changed date from 11 to 17. So you can see what you have changed. Or if you deleted a full section, it will show red here and it'll be nothing here. So you can see what you have changed in a specific document a few months ago or a few weeks ago. So you can track your changes that you have made, and you will be able. So here I changed the color, I think. No, it's not color, something else. I don't know what it is. So yeah, that way. So version control. This is how version control works. You go and see the changes that you have made, what you have added, and what you have removed. And that means you do not necessarily have to have many versions of the same document. You can always go back and find out what changes have been brought. And that is the advantage of using it with Quarto. And that's it. I think I don't have anything else to say. Yeah.